Hi, everybody. Give us a few moments to make sure that all families have been able to log in, and we'll get started momentarily. Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us today. Please give us a few more moments to make sure that all families have been able to log in, and we'll get started momentarily. Hi, folks. We will just wait a couple more moments to make sure that all families have been able to log in. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Ronaldo Linagakad, and I am here to welcome you to our fourth webinar series in the 2021 Fall Family Webinar Series. I am the Assistant Director in the First Year Center, and tonight I'm joined by my colleague, Aimee Wittmann, Interim Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs for Career Development. We are so excited that you've chosen to join us tonight for tonight's conversation. Some information before we get started. First, we want to make sure you know how to submit questions during this webinar. You'll notice that we've given you the ability to ask questions via the Q&A feature. Our professional staff within the First Year Center are helping to field these questions. To make sure you know how to use the Q&A feature, please share some of the places you may be watching from, and we'll name a few of them on air live. While you do that, we will be showing a PowerPoint created by our panelists during tonight's webinar. However, if you prefer to download this PowerPoint and follow along on your own, please use the link that we just shared in the chat. As a note, in the chat feature, we will be sharing links and email addresses for the duration of the webinar. Third, this webinar is being recorded live. Next week, it will be uploaded to the families.woostel.edu website. In a moment, we will hear from our panelists about the Career Center's resources here on campus. If something she says sparks a question, don't forget to send it to us using the Q&A feature. After the presentation, we will move into a question and answer portion of the evening. Before passing things along to Aimee, I wanted to share some of the places that folks are joining us from tonight. We have families tuning in from Chicago, Illinois, Austin, Texas, New York City, New York, and many other locations. Now, since I know you all want to hear more about the Career Center, I will turn it over to Aimee.
Thank you so much, Reggie, and hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. My name is Aimee Wittmann. I am the Interim Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs for Career Development at Washington University. And I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your week to join us and to hear a little bit about how we think about career education at WASHI. So I'm really eager to share our vision and approach with you, and we'll really look forward to hearing your questions and answering those questions for you tonight as well. So thank you again for joining us. So I'd like to start this evening, our conversation, by talking just a little bit about the goals that we have in the Career Center. And these are really the goals that we have for each Washington University student with whom we have the privilege to work. So the first is a commitment that my entire team really leans into, and this is about knowing our students. We really strive to know our students by name and story, to understand their unique strengths, to hear their dreams, and to walk with them in their career education journey as they are developing the skills and having the pre-professional experiences that we know are going to help them when they are ready to transition out of Washington University. Second, we really focus on a strategy that is formed by early and regular engagement with what I like to call career conversations. So many of our students come to Washington University and they are curious, they are explorers. Some may have a sense of their future career pathway, and some are really learning that process and starting that journey with us. And we are here to support all of our students in that work. I think the best way for students to begin that journey is by starting to have what I call these career conversations during their first year at WashU. And this is an opportunity for our students to start to think about who they are, what their hopes and dreams are related to their future career pathway, and to start to develop a strategy for how they are going to make progress towards those goals. And these career conversations are really meant to be complemented by meaningful pre-professional experiences. So we know that experiences such as internships, research, and other pre-professional types of opportunities are so critical to students being able to test out and try on different career pathways in which they might be interested, and to also help to complement the skills that they will be learning in the classroom. And then finally, we really are focused on helping to prepare our students to develop what I like to think of as a toolkit of skills that are going to help them as they are launching into both their first destination job or graduate or professional school program, but that also will help to serve them throughout their entire professional life. So I'll talk a little bit more about what those important skills are in just a moment. So next, I want to share with you how we break this down, this approach. So when we encourage and invite students to start engaging in these career conversations early in their Washington University career, what are we going to be coaching them towards? How are we going to help them in this work? So my team really focuses on this framework of assess, explore, search, and launch. And this is how we really think about career education at Washington University. And these are the stages that we would be walking with your students as they are engaging in this process themselves. So what are these 4 strategies? Let me go into a little bit more detail about what I mean when I say assess, explore, search, and launch. Assessment is really about starting to engage in a self-reflection process to identify personal values, strengths, skills, to really begin that important internal work of starting to map out a picture of who I am and what are the unique portfolio of strengths that I wish to bring into my future career. Next, we start moving into the exploration stage, and that exploration stage is so critical in this process. So what we often find from our students, which makes so much sense, is they may not yet have a full picture of all of the career pathways that are available to them. And so an important part of this work is to engage in an intentional exploration process to really broaden the imagination, to expand our portfolio of what might be possible. So exploration is going to come in many different forms. That could include everything from participating in a career center program where we invite WashU alums and other friends of the university and employers to talk about their career pathways. That might be attending a career fair and starting to engage with employers in a broad array of different industries in order to learn more about what is out there and what is possible. This ideally will certainly include engaging in at least one, if not more, meaningful pre-professional experiences like internships or research to really test out and try on different opportunities. Next, we move into the search phase. So searching is about actually landing that opportunity, identifying an actual internship or research experience. So in this part of the process, our job is to help your students develop that toolkit and portfolio of skills that I talked about. So that's going to include how to write a resume, how to create a LinkedIn profile, how to practice interviewing, how to network, how to start this actual work of identifying these experiences that are going to be so meaningful to the process. And that's going to include both pre-professional experiences as well as post-graduation, first destination jobs and internships. And then the launch phase of this process is where our students actually go out and try something on, test something out, participate in these different experiences to then determine, is this a good fit for me? Is this something that feels like I want to learn more about this? Or sometimes it leads students to say, you know what, this is not what I'm most interested in, and then to be able to pivot to a different type of opportunity. Both are equally good outcomes, and we really encourage that experiential learning is a key way for students to engage in career education at WASHI. So what are some of the specific services and resources that we offer to our students at Washington University to help them in this career education work? A foundation of our program is around our individualized career advising approach. As I mentioned earlier, we really care about understanding and knowing students by name and by story. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is by one-on-one advising, where we can get to know students and really learn about who they are and how we can best support them in their journey. Some of the particular strategies and approaches that will happen in an individualized advising appointment include self-assessments and career exploration, really engaging in that reflection and exploration work that I mentioned earlier, working on these important tools such as the resume and LinkedIn, developing these, reviewing these, giving a lot of feedback, and encouraging students to continue to practice developing these important tools. We offer mock interviews and search strategies. We really want to work individually to develop a customized search approach for each student so that we can help each student achieve his or her dreams and hopes in terms of the career education process. We also offer graduate school preparation and coaching. So we know that many of our students are very curious and interested in graduate or professional school. So we're really able in this individualized advising model to be able to understand and hear the variety of different pathways that a student may wish to explore and to start to offer advice and coaching to help make progress in all of these different areas. Another important pillar of our approach to career education at Washington University is our career interest groups model. So career interest groups are groups of students and alumni and friends of the university that are organized by different industry areas. So we encourage and invite students to join as many career interest groups as might fit their particular interest areas. By joining a career interest group, students will then start to receive very customized and specialized communication that will talk about upcoming programs, alumni speakers, internship, and other experiential learning opportunities that are aligned with these different industry areas. This is a very important tool in the toolkit of resources that a student can engage in order to engage in this important exploration work. So what is the result of the career education model at Washington University? I am so proud of our students. They do such a beautiful job of engaging in career education and go on to have really meaningful and important first destination experiences in a number of different ways. You can see here that our students have really wonderful outcomes once they leave Washington University. We see that many of our students go on to a first destination employment opportunity. We have a significant percentage of our students who go on to pursue further education, either with a graduate or professional school experience. And then we have students who are pursuing other individualized pathways, such as fellowships, becoming an entrepreneur, engaging in the military, or doing some kind of professional volunteer service as well. So this gives you a snapshot of the post-graduation pathways that our Washington University students pursue. Digging a little deeper, this gives us a nice overview of some of the particular industries, employers, and graduate school programs where Washington University students land. You'll see here that our students go on to pursue opportunities in all industries and engage in first destination employment with premier employers all across the country and the world. And finally, we see that our students do very well in terms of professional school and graduate school placements at many of the nation's top graduate school programs. So as your student joins the Washington University community and begins to engage in career education, what are some first steps? So as I mentioned, I am a strong believer in getting started early. I think these career conversations take time, and they take time to be able to explore. It takes time to be able to really engage in all of the important opportunities and experiences that will allow a student to really determine what career pathway is the best fit. So by starting early during the first year, it really is a good way to begin. As I also mentioned, we strongly believe in the importance of that relationship, and connecting with one of our wonderful career advisors or career consultants is a terrific way to begin that personalized conversation and dialogue, and to begin to map out that personalized career education strategy. Next, participating in multiple meaningful pre-professional experiences such as internships, research, and professional volunteer opportunities is a critical strategy for students. I would love for each of our students to have at least one, if not two, internship or research opportunities during their time at Washington University. This is so important to develop that toolkit and portfolio of skills that employers really care about, and for students themselves to be able to explore different possibilities. We want students to attend events and participate in the many career exploration events and programs that we offer to our community. So our job is to create those opportunities for connection with employers, with alumni, with different experiences, and our students have the opportunity to come in and engage in those experiences. And so that's a really important part of the process as well. And then finally, participating in skill building workshops. We know that students need help developing a resume, learning how to build out a LinkedIn profile. We are here to support that work. And that is an important early step that students can do when they begin their career education journey at Washington University. So thank you so much for letting me share some of my thoughts about how we approach career education at Washington University. And I'll turn it back over now to Reggie.
Thanks, Aimee, for sharing all of that insightful information. I have a question I know many families may be wondering. Do you only offer support for those entering directly into the workforce, or do you also help students who are, say, applying to graduate school or other forms of continuing education like law school, medical school? And what might these individualized advising appointments include in that?
What a great question. Thank you. So, we know that when students come to us, especially in the first and second year at WashU, they're often exploring multiple pathways for post-graduation. So it's very normal and common that a student might be thinking about employment after graduation and may also be interested and curious to learn more about law school or graduate school or medical school. So we're really used to working with students who come in with a really wide variety of interests that they're curious to pursue and explore. So we do offer that type of support as well. We have advisors on our team who specialize in preparing students for graduate school, preparing students for law school and medical school. And a lot of that work really involves understanding what are the steps in those processes. And so we're here to guide students, to remind them, to invite them to understand what all of those steps are, and to accompany them as they are engaging in that work. We also often serve in a referral capacity. So many times students will also be benefited by engaging with advising from our colleagues in the College of Arts and Sciences, at McKelvey, at Olin, at Sam Fox. And so part of our work as well is really helping to curate and coordinate a team of advisors and helping students connect to the many people around the Washington University community who can help them in this work.
Awesome. Thank you, Aimee. So I know that there are many programs that happen that the Career Center hosts, such as career fairs. How many career fairs or programs like that are offered? I know that that's like a like a really vague question. So how many career fairs are offered here at WashU? And then how could students go about making sure that they know about these programs and sessions that are really, really helpful?
Yes, thank you for your question. So we host annually 2 all-campus job and internship fairs. So one in the fall semester and one in the spring semester. And those are open to students from across the entire Washington University campus community. Those events have been virtual for the last year and a half because of the COVID moment that we are all in. And we've learned a lot from that virtual experience. And so there are many benefits to those opportunities. And we're hopeful that we'll transition back to in-person career fairs in the future as well, which I anticipate will happen. In addition to those campus-wide career fairs, we also either host or co-host, along with our partners around the Washington University community, more specialized, smaller fairs and what we call our SLAM events. And SLAM events are where we invite a number of professionals in a particular industry to come and do a short pitch where they talk a little bit about their organization or company, talk a bit about their role. And so it's a really lovely way for students to get a broad overview of a lot of different types of opportunities in sort of a condensed setting. So how do students find out about this? Well, we take a lot of responsibility for sending out many communications to students, inviting and encouraging them to participate in all of these opportunities. And so there's a number of different ways that we do that through email, through our social media strategies. So we try to tap into a lot of different ways to help encourage and invite our student community to participate in these different programs.
Families, if your students are not regularly checking their email, please encourage them to do that. They have some great communications from the Career Center about some upcoming things that are going on. So, Aimee, to shift a little bit, we have some families who are asking, many in-person pre-professional internships might not have been open this last year for students as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes.
What recommendations do you have to help these students catch up on some of these missed meaningful opportunities?
Thank you for that question. I really appreciate that. And, I understand that. I think there was a loss to not being able to have in-person internships and other experiences. So I would just name that I think that is true. And I understand that. I think that it's never too late to begin. And so I would say, let's start where we are, which is now, and focus on summer 2022 for a meaningful pre-professional experience to begin to develop and further cultivate those important professional skills that we know our employers really deeply value and that will complement the skill sets that students are looking for and learning in their academic coursework as well. So I would say, start where we are. Let's move forward. Let's focus on really trying to identify and cultivate a really meaningful opportunity for where we are today and going from there.
Aimee, really quick, can you clarify the difference between WASHI's Career Center and the Weston Career Center?
Absolutely. Thank you for that great question. So the Career Center is the centralized career center for the entire Washington University community. So we support students who are in all of our undergraduate schools and many of our graduate school programs as well. So all students are encouraged and invited to engage in the resources that are available through the Career Center. In addition to the Career Center, our terrific colleagues at the Weston Career Center have another resource that is available to students who are in the Olin Business School as well. So Olin students may also take advantage of the resources that are available at the Weston Career Center, along with students who are pursuing a second major or a minor at Olin as well.
So to clarify just one more time, is the Career Center open and available to students who may have, say, be in Olin and have the Weston Career Center? Are they able to access the Career Center's resources?
Absolutely, yes, yes. We love to work with students from all schools, so all students are welcome and encouraged to use the resources at the Career Center. Yes, thank you for asking that clarifying question.
Can a student walk in for an appointment, or should they make make an appointment to be able to engage with you all?
Yes, thank you for that question. So it's a both and response. So we offer daily drop-in hours, which are staffed by our wonderful career peers. So our career peers are undergraduate and graduate WASHI students who go through a very specialized training program. They apply for this opportunity and are selected, and then go through a specialized training program to provide support and guidance to students in our walk-in format. So students may walk in at any time and get immediate assistance from one of our terrific career peers. And that's a really good place to do things like get a resume reviewed, have a LinkedIn profile checked, get some coaching on a search strategy. And then students may also schedule an appointment to meet with one of our career advisors or career consultants as well. So those do require a scheduled appointment, Reggie, for students to be able to, meet at a time that works both for their schedule and for the advisor as well.
Great, thank you. Aimee, I know you've touched on this a little bit already, but what kind of support is available, or do you typically see within the Career Center for pre-medical students or pre-health students?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So I'm so pleased to share that we have several of our career advisors who work with our pre-health students specifically. So they are a part of the university-wide pre-health advising team, which includes both colleagues within my office and then other colleagues from around the Washington University community. We also are very fortunate to have a handful of career consultants who are also career advisors in our office, who themselves are physicians by training. And so they're able to bring yet another lens of perspective and lived experience to advising and coaching our students in their pre-health journey.
Families also know that we have a pre-health advising webinar that we host every spring. Our previous one can be found on our families.wustl.edu website if you're looking for some pre-health larger picture pieces that are not necessarily Career Center. Aimee, does the Career Center have specialized resources or programs based on the student's cohort? So what year the student is, so whether they're a freshman or first year student rather, a sophomore, a junior, a senior?
Yes, thank you for that question. So we do offer specialized programming by academic year. So for example, we're very fortunate to have the opportunity to partner with our colleagues in the College of Arts and Sciences with the support of the First Year Center to do a really robust and deep dive orientation program to start our students in the College of Arts and Sciences off on a good foot with their career education. That's just one example. So we have partnerships throughout the community where we collaborate and partner with our colleagues in the different schools to meet students at both the school level, and then also standing up specialized programming by academic year as well to meet students where they are in that developmental journey and work too.
Does the Career Center provide support for students applying to graduate fellowships, such as the Fulbright program, Teach for America, etc.? What does this typically looks like, or at what stage would a student interested in those opportunities engage with you all in the Career Center?
Yeah, thank you for that great question. I think that especially for the fellowship programs, it is always in the best interest of students to start that engagement process early. So I would say if that is on the radar screen of being something of interest, to just begin to kind of look into that and start to understand what that application process is. I would say as soon as sometime during the first year, not that there's likely action to be taken, but just to start to understand what that process is. And our advising team can help support that as well. In terms of some of what we think of as these gap year programs, such as Teach for America or other service programs, we also can support those. The application process for those is in many ways similar to what a student will do to apply for a first destination employment opportunity. So many of the strategies and the approaches are similar, but the application deadlines do tend to be early for those. So again, reinforcing that idea of starting these career conversations early in the Washington University experience to have all of the possibilities available and to have time to prepare and have good runway for all of that.
So we have a family member who is asking, based off of the chart that you had about career outcomes, do graduating seniors typically only apply for full-time employment or continuing education? Or do you see a growing number of graduating seniors apply for internships and research opportunities? Like we have a family member who's sort of wondering what the pathways have been.
Yes, that's a great question. I would say that the majority of our students do go on to what we would think of as a full-time employment opportunity or likely a full-time graduate or professional school program immediately post-graduation. Some students do choose to do a gap year before starting a graduate or professional school program, and that may be a full-time opportunity, or perhaps it's a part-time opportunity while also preparing to take the GRE, for example, is one combination of experiences that a student may want to put together. So I think you see some of that where there's these really lovely kind of hybrid models that meet the students' need at the moment post-graduation. So it really is it's a little bit of all of that, I would say, is what we typically tend to see.
Aimee, when do you recommend students start working on continuing education prep? So such as grad school prep or law school application prep. And then I'll ask a follow-up question from there.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to sound like a little bit of a broken record here, but I do think that, starting to just dip a toe into the water during the first year is never a bad idea, right? We can always benefit from just having as much time and runway as possible. So I would say, if possible, just start to understand what is the application cycle, what are the components of applying to those different programs, just to have some visibility into that during the first year or the sophomore year, I think would be terrific. Some of that actual work is going to need to start happening during the junior year in terms of preparing to take entrance exams for different programs, having enough runway to practice those and feel fully prepared, starting to gather letters of recommendation, which ideally is an ongoing process that happens over the course of the 4 years as relationships are built with faculty and other advisors around the community. So that's how I would think about it.
So to follow up from that question, we have a number of families who are nervous. What advice do you have for a student who feels that they may be behind in post-graduation planning processing? So who might be a junior or a senior and are looking for sort of direction and a fast track kind of way to do some of these engagements with you all now that they are in the end half of their time.
Sure, of course. Thank you for that really important question. So now is the time to start. It's never too late. It's never too late. So let's start now. Let's start where we are. I would encourage and invite those students to come in and make an appointment with someone on my team and begin to map out a strategy for what to do, how to make progress, how to engage in that assessment, exploration, searching work, and to really just begin where we are. And that's what I would recommend. But it'll be okay. It's not too late. There's always time to engage in career education. So it'll be all right.
Families, know that Aimee's team is, as she had shared earlier, is really, really great about getting to know your student and their individual need at that moment. So we encourage you strongly to have your students set up an appointment.
Yes.
Aimee, is there a database of job opportunities and internships for students? How can a student access some of those things?
Absolutely, yes. So we have a 24/7 database called Career Link, where we house all of our internships and post-graduation opportunities. And that's also the place where students may RSVP for different programs and events and workshops that the Career Center hosts. So all of that is available on our website, and students may log in with their WUSTL key at any time and start to explore that database.
Aimee, do you offer stipends for unpaid internship opportunities? What does that look like for our students here at WASHI?
Yes, thank you for that question. We do have a stipend fund that we are able to offer to support unpaid and underpaid internship experiences for students who are engaging in those experiences. So students will apply to the Career Center for that stipend funding, and that stipend funding cycle typically opens up in early spring. So certainly as soon as an internship is identified, going ahead and beginning that process of applying for that stipend funding is a good next step.
I know a lot of our conversation so far has been focused a lot on the summer opportunities. Does the Career Center offer support for students looking for skill building throughout the year? And in addition to that, if a student wants an on-campus job, is the Career Center the first place to go to? Where does a student go?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm really pleased to report that we have recently finalized a collaboration with many of our partners around campus, and now many, if not most, of the on-campus jobs at WashU are housed in the Career Link database that I just mentioned. So making that, I think, a more user-friendly experience for our students to be able to find all of those opportunities in one place. So I would certainly suggest going there as an opportunity and a good platform to use to engage in that. And then Reggie, you had another question. I'm sorry. I think I went to your second question, but I missed the first one. Would you say it again, please?
Yeah, it's just about finding ongoing during the academic year, either internships or positions or work or developmental opportunities. Does the Career Center aid in that, or is it primarily focused on the summer?
Yes, thank you for your question. So yes, so to all of that. So for example, with undergraduate research, many students do engage in research during the academic year. And so we do not host all of the research opportunities on CareerLink, but they are hosted on the undergraduate research database. And so that's a good place to go to look for those experiences. If students are wishing to engage in an internship during the academic year, many of those opportunities would also be listed on CareerLink as well for students to explore and consider.
Aimee, I'm so glad that you mentioned undergraduate research because we do have a couple of questions about that. Does the Career Center offer any support, or do you have any advice for students in terms of engaging with your office if they are interested in the undergraduate research process? What does that look like?
Absolutely. So, in many ways, seeking an undergraduate research experience is really not that different. The process is not that different than seeking an internship. So most students are likely going to want to apply for those opportunities by submitting a cover letter, by submitting an updated resume, by thinking about how to craft an appropriate email to a faculty member, for example, who might be running a research lab. So we can help with all of that work and all of that skill building in order to apply for those opportunities. Yes.
Aimee, we've talked a lot about our current students. Can alumni access resources offered by the Career Center as well?
Yes, they certainly can. And we do work with many alumni as well, especially those, I would say, who are, recent graduates for the most part. So maybe in that 1 to 5 year out timeframe, that tends to be where we would probably see the most kind of advising and coaching support needed for students. And so that is certainly something that students can access as they transition into that alumni status as well.
Aimee, does the university have specific job search resources or advice for students who may be navigating the career search or career preparedness opportunities here at WASHI while also having, say, a learning disability?
What a great question. Yes, thank you. We do offer a number of different resources, and we are part of a consortium of other career centers that specifically focuses on resources for students who may have learning disabilities. We also have a number of people on our team who support and guide students who have learning disabilities. So that is certainly a resource that we have available as well.
Family members beyond career pieces for our students with disability, we encourage you to have them connect with our disability resources office, and we'll share some of that contact information here in the chat just shortly. Aimee, what are some strategies that you recommend for underclassmen to maximize their time with the Career Center and summer opportunities? So you've already mentioned getting involved early. What could that look like, or what could that ideally look like for a parent to encourage their student at different timetables?
Yes, thank you for that question. What I love to talk to students about, so I'm a 4-year advisor in the College of Arts and Sciences, so I have 5 first-year students who I am privileged to serve as their advisor. And one of the pieces that we talk a lot about in our conversations, which is related to career education in my mind, is the importance of getting involved with activities on campus, with different student organizations, to really seek out all opportunities to engage in this self-assessment and exploration work. So some of that is going to be specifically in the career space, but we can learn a lot about ourselves, and we can start to explore things that we are interested in and that we're curious about, and start to get more clarity around that through engagement with student organizations, by going to speakers on campus, by participating in different opportunities and outings. So all of these are ways that we can start to pay attention to what is resonating with us and where we feel engaged and in flow. And that, I think, is great information that helps to inform the career education work that students are doing. So, in addition to some of the strategies that I've already mentioned of engaging in those career conversations and starting to think about the 4 guiding principles of the career education work, I would say get involved in other experiences. Try stuff on, see what is resonating and what is interesting and engaging to you. And that's all helping to form and inform this career education work.
And we have some families who are wondering, what do pre-professional or professional opportunities look like for liberal arts students?
What a great question. So I myself am a product of the liberal arts. I was an English and French major when I was an undergraduate student. So I have a particular passion for the portfolio of skills that I think come out of the liberal arts. Our arts and sciences students go on to have successful opportunities in all industries: business, education, nonprofit, government, all different types of areas. They go on to law school, medical school, graduate school programs across the board. So I would say that the approach and the strategy for our liberal arts students is really the one that I've outlined, that it's starting the conversation early. And that, I think, is a particularly important approach for our arts and sciences students, to think about what kind of internship might I do that will help me try on and practice some of these interests and skills that I'm starting to articulate and name for myself.
Is the Career Center open during winter break for students who may feel overwhelmed and busy with the end of the semester?
Yes, we are. So we are open year round. So, we're closed on the official university holidays, which there's a few around the winter holidays when the entire campus is closed, but otherwise we will be open and available. So we encourage and invite students, if that's a good time for them, to connect with us, and we'd be happy to work with them.
Are there any opportunities for receiving course credit for internships? What does that look like?
That is a great question. So I would say yes, and it's important to understand and review the particular policies in one's school. So there are slightly different internship credit policies in each of the undergraduate divisions. And so I would encourage students to review those and understand what the policy is and what the sort of expectations are for receiving credit as a first step in that process.
Aimee, we're going to ask one last question for the evening.
Sure.
Thank you so much on the front end for all of the information that you shared tonight. A last question is, what advice or how can families get involved with career preparation and with the Career Center?
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for the opportunity to be with you all this evening. I know everybody has had likely a busy day, and so we're so grateful to you for taking time out of your schedule to join us and learn a little bit about how we think about career education at Washington University. So yes, we would love for parents to support the career education work of our students. And one really good way to do that would be to join WASHI Connects, which is a mentoring platform that is relatively new to our community, but it is a really lovely way for WASHI alumni and parents to provide career education support and connection to our WASHI students. So that would be one specific strategy that I would invite our parents to consider.
Aimee, thank you so much again. Families, we hope you were able to learn some valuable information this evening. As a reminder, this webinar recording will be shared at families.wustl.edu next week. Please stay tuned for our next webinar, a conversation about housing selection occurring on Wednesday, December 15th at 5:30 p.m. You will be able to register for that webinar at the families.wustl.edu website. We hope to see you then. Thank you.